What if I told you that the loneliness you feel, the silence that echoes, the solitude that seems endless, the emptiness that threatens to consume you, is not a void or some cruel cosmic error? It isn't the world turning its back on you, nor is it a punishment for your perceived shortcomings. Rather, it could be the universe extending one of its most profound invitations, an opportunity to step into the depths of your own existence and emerge transformed. There are periods in life when the structures that once gave us stability, relationships, careers, routines, begin to dissolve, leaving us adrift in a sea of uncertainty. These moments feel like disintegration, as though the life you carefully built is unraveling thread by thread. But what if this unraveling isn't destruction, but a form of sacred deconstruction? What if it's the universe's way of clearing the clutter, stripping away illusions to help you see what lies beneath? When life forces you into isolation, it's natural to resist. Losing the connections and comforts that once anchored you can feel like being cast out into a vast, uncharted wilderness. But what if this wilderness is where you were meant to be all along? Swiss psychologist Carl Jung saw this sense of disconnection not as a misstep, but as a necessary stage in the journey toward individuation. Individuation, as Jung described it, is the process of becoming a whole and unified self. It's not about improving yourself to meet societal expectations or conforming to external standards of success. Instead, it's about integrating all the parts of your being, your conscious mind, your subconscious desires, your shadow, and your higher self into a harmonious and authentic whole. Isolation often acts as the starting point for this journey. When the noise of the outside world fades, you are left with only your inner world. In that silence, the masks you wear for others begin to slip, revealing the unfiltered truth of who you are. It's an uncomfortable revelation, but also a necessary one. Transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the tension between who you are and who you're meant to become. As the distractions of daily life fall away, isolation creates a mirror that reflects not only your strengths and virtues, but also the parts of yourself you'd rather avoid. These are the parts Carl Jung referred to as the shadow. Contrary to popular belief, the shadow isn't simply a repository for your flaws or weaknesses. It's a hidden reservoir of everything you've suppressed, your unspoken desires, your unacknowledged fears, your unexamined potential. The shadow holds both the parts of yourself that society has deemed unacceptable and the gifts you've neglected to embrace. Isolation grants you the space to confront this shadow. Without the pressure of external expectations, you can observe these hidden facets with compassion rather than judgment. But facing your shadow is not easy. It requires courage to sit with your vulnerabilities and patience to untangle the narratives you've told yourself about who you are. Integrating the shadow into your conscious self is where the real work begins. This process asks you to stop running from your insecurities and instead embrace them as part of your humanity. When you reclaim these parts of yourself, you stop living a fragmented life. You transform what once felt like shame into a source of power, and what once felt like fear into a wellspring of wisdom. As you navigate the depths of isolation, you may begin to notice subtle patterns emerging in your life. Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity, the idea that seemingly random events or coincidences carry deeper meaning and purpose. In the stillness that isolation provides, your mind becomes attuned to these connections. Past experiences, relationships, and choices may take on new significance, revealing lessons you overlooked or opportunities you missed. It's as though the universe is weaving a tapestry, and only in this quiet space can you begin to see the threads coming together. This newfound awareness often brings clarity. The decisions or relationships that once felt confusing start to make sense. You may discover a purpose or path that was previously obscured by the noise of everyday life. In this way, isolation becomes not an end, but a recalibration, a process of realignment that guides you closer to your true self. For some, the journey of isolation deepens into what mystics call the dark night of the soul. This concept, explored by St. John of the Cross, describes a period when all sources of light and meaning seem to disappear. It's a spiritual crisis where you are stripped of your identity, purpose, and direction, leaving you in a space of profound darkness. The dark night is not merely an emotional low, it's a crucible. In this space, You are forced to confront the deepest layers of your being, the fears, traumas, and insecurities you've buried. There's no escape, no distractions to numb the discomfort. But it's in this very darkness that transformation begins. Jung likened this process to alchemy. Just as metal is refined in fire, the dark night burns away the impurities of your old self, leaving behind a clearer, more authentic version of who you are. This phase is grueling, but it's also sacred. Emerging from the dark night, you are not simply better, you are reborn, realigned with a deeper understanding of your purpose and place in the world. Isolation, when embraced, is not just about detaching from the world, it's about reconnecting with yourself. Great thinkers like Nietzsche, Thoreau, and Jung sought solitude not to escape society, but to understand themselves more deeply. In the stillness, they found clarity that allowed them to challenge their assumptions and discover revolutionary insights. This process is available to all of us. In the silence of isolation, you can begin to hear the whispers of your intuition, the subtle guidance of your inner wisdom. You can reflect on the beliefs that shape your life and decide which ones no longer serve you. When you emerge from isolation, you do so with a resilience that is rooted in authenticity. This is not the fleeting strength of external achievements, but the enduring power of knowing who you are at your core. Isolation is not a punishment, it's a sacred opportunity. It's the universe's way of giving you the space to grow, to heal, and to align with your deepest truths. Far from being a void, it is the fertile ground where the seeds of self-awareness, purpose, and transformation are sown. And when you emerge, you carry with you the wisdom, clarity, and courage to live a life that resonates with your most authentic self.